everyone, welcome back to the Art Room. Mrs. Nolte here. Kodomo no Hi, which is Happy Children's Day in Japan. We are celebrating Children's Day this week with our projects. This week we're going to be making Koinobori, which are carp windsocks. Here are my little carp windsocks that I made, my Koinobori. How we're going to do this week is we have a video that shows a step-by-step. There is a printed koi page for you to color and construct into a carp windsocks or a Koinobori. There's also a blank one that you can add your own design if you don't want to use the coloring page, or you can take a plain piece of just copy paper and fold it in half and create your own design. You could use just the shape of the koi and then make your own eyes and make whatever design you like. So you have three options for designing your little koi windsocks. And for those who want a little bit more of a challenge, we have some pages to make some origami koi or Koinobori. So these are going to come on a printable sheet. I have multiple colors on them. So this is our sheet, and you can cut them out. There's a step-by-step on the folding. I also made a video that shows a step-by-step on how to create our little koi fish. Hope you enjoy this week's project. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Looking forward to seeing what you make, and don't forget to watch the video about the history of our Koinobori. See you next week, everyone. Bye. Hi, so welcome back to the Art Room. For today's wind carp, we are going to need the printed PDF sheets that are on the website. One has scales, one is without scales. You can choose which one you want to use, or you can draw your own. It's completely up to you. You're going to need a glue stick, some tape, markers, or colored pencils or crayons. Whatever you have to draw with is fine. A pair of scissors and some string. You're also going to need either a stick or some skewers. I use skewers for this one, but you could go out and find a stick and that would be fantastic too. So we're going to start with our printed sheet. Now this is printed on a plain piece of copy paper. It's just a black and white line drawing. And next I'm going to select my colors that I want to use for my scales. I've decided to use an analogous color palette. Colors are called analogous colors when they are very similar to each other, especially when they're next to each other on a color wheel. For example, red, orange, and yellow are analogous colors. And then they're usually discussed in terms of their relationship and closeness to each other on that color wheel, which is a circular chart that shows shades of color that gradually blend into one another, much like they do in a rainbow. An analogous color is also called an analogous hue. So each of my scales are going to have an analogous color palette or analogous hue. So to start my scales, I selected a base color. For each scale, I'm going to color in the tip of the scale, and I'm going to keep this consistent with each one. I want to make a pattern in my scales so that the color pattern is repeating. I'm making a crescent shape and then filling it in. And I'm going to go through every scale. I'm also going to use this color to add a little bit of color to the fins. And I'm going to add a little color to the eye. Okay, now I'm going to select my second color. I'm going to use this lighter pink. And I'm going to go around the shape that I just colored in and make a little repeating pattern on it for each scale. We want it to kind of look like a sunset. Although it doesn't have to be the colors in a sunset. You could use any color palette you like. On this one, I just happen to be using the pinks and the blues. The one I did previously had reds and oranges in it. I'm going to repeat the color on the side as well. And you don't have to make it the same pattern that I'm doing. You can do it whatever works for you. This is going to be your fish. So while I finish coloring in my koi fish or my carp, you can work on yours. And then when we get to the end of the coloring, I'll pop back in and we'll talk about constructing our Koinobori. Alright, so I just about finished coloring in my carp. I'm going to do the inside of each of the eyes black. And I think this marker is probably just about had it. Okay, there we go. So there's my koi. Now I want to make the streamer part for the bottom of the koi fish. So I'm going to use the same palette that I was using of analogous colors. And I'm going to grab a piece of just plain copy paper. And I want to use about the size of my hand, so I'm just going to make some stripes on it. And it should be about the same size as your hand. And I'm just making some random stripes. You don't have to make a pattern. I did because it just seemed easier. Just a bunch of lines. Okay, so once you've drawn your lines, we're going to take our scissors, and as you notice, it's about the size of my hand, and we're going to cut that square. Now, I'm going to take my fish, and I am going to fold it in half. You want to make sure that we line up the corners. And if you line up the corners nice and straight, we should be fine, because both sides are symmetrical and they will match up. We are going to cut around our fish very carefully while it's folded. This way we cut both sides at the same time. So we're going to open the fish up, And I want you to notice at the top there is a little dotted line. There's actually two. You're going to fold the one closest to the head first and then fold the other one back. This is going to make the mouth a little more stable and it won't rip. We're going to make our streamers now by folding that little square in half. Take your scissors. We're going to cut them into strips, leaving about an inch at the top so that they don't fall off. So let's flip the fish over and we're going to attach the streamers to half of the fish. Going to add glue stick to the bottom of the tail and we're going to attach only half, just half. Now, we want to attach the fish together. We want to make sure we don't glue the top of the mouth or the bottom of the tail because it needs to be a sock and air needs to be able to go through it. Take a tiny bit of glue, run it along the fin to the tip of the tail, but not gluing the tail or the mouth because we want to be able to open the fish so that it becomes a windsock. My little tip here didn't have enough glue. I'm going to just add a tiny bit more. Now, above the eye, you'll see a little black dot. You're going to take the skewer or a pencil or something pointy that you can pop a little hole. That's where the string is going to go so we can hang our fish. So I'm just trying to reshape this a little bit. And this is why I didn't have you glue the mouth or the tail because we want the air to be able to go through it. Take about 12 inches of string and we're going to pull that string through those two holes, gather the ends together, make a little slip knot, and I'm going to puff the body out again. And that should do it. And now it can blow in the breeze. I'm going to put this on the end of my skewer, but if you'd like, you could grab a stick and put it on the end of a stick, or you can hang it in your window. And here's my little red, orange, and yellow one that I made. So you can make them in any combination colors that you like. I hope you enjoyed the project. Have a wonderful, happy Children's Day. And I hope you enjoyed making your Koinobori.